Good morning, everyone. Welcome to full commission of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife here in Cookeville, Tennessee. Good to see everybody. We're going to start off with invocation and the pledge, please. Stand for that. I've asked Commissioner Woods to lead us in prayer.
Let's pray. Thank you for this opportunity to serve in a position that protects the outdoors and the wildlife in it, Lord. We thank you for everyone here willing to serve and spare their time, Lord. We pray for safe travels home, and we thank you for all you do for us each and every day. These things we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Woods. At this time, Ms. Danette Wall, can you call the roll, please?
Tommy Woods.
Here.
Angie Box.
Here.
Monty Blue. Stan Butt.
Here.
Wally Childress.
Here.
Bill Cox.
Here.
Chris Devaney.
Here.
Jimmy Granberry.
Here.
Steve Jones.
Here.
Brian McLaren.
Here.
Kent Woods.
Here.
Hank Wright.
Here.
Jim Ripley. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Danette. And by now, y'all should have received a copy of the minutes. Do I have any discussion?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve for Jimmy Granberry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from lots of people. Steve Jones, thank you. All right, motion carry approved. Do we have any announcements from the commission or public? Being no announcements, I will move to the Wildlife Management Program and to call on Mr. Joey Woodard. Come to the front, please.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. Commissioners, everyone, good morning. My name is Joey Woodard. I'm happy to be here today to give this presentation. I believe we have just a few hundred people maybe tuning in via live stream, so I think there's some excitement about the conservation raffle, and I will try to be brief in my presentation and get to the punchline, but for the benefit of our newer commissioners, there's some important information that we do want to cover. Other than just announcing the winners today, we want to make sure that everyone here and at home understands the genesis of this raffle, the purpose of this raffle, and the more far-reaching impacts of this raffle financially for the agency and for conservation in Tennessee. So this is our fourth year to do this raffle. We began this raffle in 2018. Prior to a raffle, we had an elk tag that as a nonprofit organization, we auctioned off. That elk tag, I think at its high, at its peak, brought maybe $17,000 a year, the first year. But then we saw that revenue wane in subsequent years. And we were, it was oscillating between $10,000 and maybe $12,000 a year for that one elk tag. And then I believe in 2018 or a little bit before, Commissioner Chairman Kurt Holbert spoke with some other commissioners and with Chris, and they wanted to revisit the idea of raffling that tag versus an online auction. And we thought that there would be a considerable opportunity there to boost revenues from that. It seemed to invite more of the public to participate. And so we went with it. And in 2018, the first year, we had an elk tag and a rifle. Bass Pro partnered with us and gave us a rifle and a scope to throw in with that elk tag. And I think we did $224,000 that first year. And we were tickled coming from $17,000 to that. But it's continued to grow year after year. And last year was phenomenal. It exceeded all of our expectations. And as we circled up from last year, we thought about, okay, so what have we learned? What went right? What went wrong? And what are our goals for 2021? So obviously we wanted to build on the success of 2020. We wanted to increase and improve the prize packages to appeal to a broader audience. Certainly, there's a lot of hunters and fishermen in Tennessee, but there's even more people in Tennessee that care about conservation more broadly. So we wanted to make sure that we had something in this raffle that appealed to a broader audience. And then we set a pretty lofty fundraising goal for $1.5 million for this year. Our campaign lasted 83 days this year from May 24th through August 15th. Ticket sales ended on Sunday, August 15th at 11:59. There's the tagline. So there's the results from this year's raffle. Gross revenue for this year was $1,880,000, or excuse me, $1,880,500. Far exceeded our $1.5 million fundraising goal. You can see the growth line there on the line graph. It's not exponential, but it's really close. I can't tell you how excited we are about these results. A lot of hard work went into this, but it's really paying off. We've learned a lot in the last 4 years, but I think the results speak for themselves. I'll be surprised if there's another conservation raffle in the country that's going to be close to this total. So we're really, really pleased with the results. Here's a look at annual sales statistics. I'm going to have to cheat and read off the screen here because I can't quite see that one, but you can look at some of the sales statistics comparatively from the beginning of the raffle in 2018 through this year. Looking at gross ticket sales, 2018 to 2019 was a 198% jump, then a 72% jump. This year was 64% year-over-year growth. From 2018 to 21, 740% year-over-year growth in those 4 years. That's an average of 185% growth. So sure like to see a 401k that could do that. Tickets sold, similar results there. First year we sold 22,000 tickets. This year we sold 170,000 tickets. That's a 657% increase. Some of the data is missing in the lines below that simply because we've changed the way the raffle was operated. The first year we didn't have the bundle package. It turned out to be a really good idea. It's very popular. And the data bears that out. If you're looking for this year, we sold 8,167 single tickets. We sold 5,378 bundles of 3, and then 14,821 bundles of 10. And again, this year, that was our most popular option. Customers saw the value in that. By going up to a $100 donation, they're getting twice as many tickets, and people took advantage of that. We had 27,368 orders placed. Roughly that translates to 27,368 people that were in the raffle. It's not exactly true. Some people bought tickets and then came back and bought more tickets. Not a lot of people, but some people did. Some people made multiple purchases. Again, what the statistics showed us this year is the vast majority of folks that engage with us in this raffle do it through this. And that was surprising to us after the first year. Almost 75%, or excuse me, over 75% of the folks that buy a raffle ticket do it on their phone. So we knew that for the last couple of years. We've known that, and we design and tailor our marketing strategy to that. We make sure that our website is mobile friendly. We make sure that our landing page looks good on a mobile phone. We make sure that our email campaign looks and functions properly on a mobile phone. So more and more we're tethered to our mobile phones, and that's how we're interacting in business, and that's true with this raffle as well. So here are some of the statistics from our multi-channel marketing results. The biggest surprise in this graph is the jump in social media. So last year, and forgive me, I won't have this statistic exactly, but I think last year it was 10-12% maybe for social media, meaning that social media accounted for 10 to 12% of our sales. And we were happy. That was 10 or 12 new percent. So we were happy to get it. But when we looked at the jump this year, social media is now 28% of our sales. So we can trace that back. As folks buy their tickets, we know where they came from. 28% of our customers came from social media. And that rivals our email, which in previous years had dominated. The email campaign had been by far the most effective campaign for ticket sales. So email, social media, neck and neck at 28%. The next channel for sales was text, direct text, and push notifications through the TWA app. Very effective. And of course, there is a mountain of data to analyze when all this is said and done. And because of the time frame, the way we do this, the drawing just ended. I'm scrambling trying to put this together for the commission meeting, but we're going to go back. We're still pouring over data, but we want to go back and look specifically at click-through rates, conversion rates, things like that to see. We see where they came from. Now we want to see which aspects or which pleas that we made through these channels were most effective at driving sales. But certainly, social media, email, and text to push was great for us this year. 18% of our sales were generated from direct, and that's folks that you make, some people call it organic. They just Google conservation raffle, TWA raffle, TWRF raffle, and they end up on our website. And then something new for this year, coming in at 7%, paid search. That was actually paid Google search advertising that we did. But this is what accounts for our sales for this year. And again, this is what we're studying intently on. This is what teaches us from year to year what we need to be looking at for next year. Keys to success. So I have stood before the commission before talking about secret sauce. And I think I've admitted, we really don't know what the secret sauce is. There's so many things that could be working for us. After the last couple of years, I can tell you, I understand what the secret sauce is now, and it's our team. 100%, all of the other things that go into this raffle, that's great, but it's the teamwork and collaboration that we have, the partnership that we have with the agency that makes this raffle possible. We have a small but very talented team at the foundation. Johnny Allred out there beating the bushes, working with our industry partners to get these packages donated. Dan Sigmund handles the electronic side of this, the digital side of this, making sure that our website's functioning correctly, that our raffle software works, that our credit card transactions go through. Richard Logsdon handling all of the marketing, the visuals, the graphics, and everything we do to market this. And it takes all of us working. This is also, the raffle's turned into almost a full-time gig. See if I can back up. There it went too far. We started this year before the end of last year. We started working on this year's, and we will start again on next year's before the end of this year's. But that's just one side of the house. That's our team, and that's all. I want to recognize all the effort and hard work that our team put in, but also Jennifer and the communications outreach team here at TWA. Jennifer, Don, Jason, all of those folks. Jennifer knows more about this. She's forgotten more about this marketing stuff than we know, and we rely heavily on her judgment and her guidance on how we navigate through marketing to effectively communicate to our customers. And we couldn't do this without you guys helping us push this across the goal line. But also our partners. And when I say partners, that's what I mean. These are partners outside of the agency and the foundation, industry partners. The last 2 years specifically, one of the things that's likely different from our raffle and other raffles is that most of the prizes that you see in our raffle have been donated. And those are donated by industry partners. And that means those are partners that have a vested interest in conservation and hunting and fishing industry. They recognize the benefit of this raffle. They recognize the benefit of conservation. And in some ways, they're donating to a good cause, but they're also making sure they have job security, make sure that next year more people are going to hunt and fish, and make sure that the resources are protected. But the last 2 years have been particularly challenging for our industry partners. With COVID-19 disrupting global supply chains, manufacturing, we were asking partners for materials they didn't have. I mean, Johnny was knocking on doors saying, hey, we'd like a boat. And, Bass Pro was going, yeah, we would too. So, our partners really came through. They found product where there was none, and they held tight to their commitments that they had made to us. And year after year, they keep coming back because they believe in what we're doing and they believe in the results. So, we couldn't do this without our industry partners. And I've got a slide later on that'll tell you a little bit more about just how big of a deal that is, but also participants. I mean, we can have these great products, we can have this great marketing team, and we can have this slick raffle. But if you don't have people to buy the tickets, if you don't have people that want to participate, you're going nowhere fast. And we've been really fortunate to have a pretty dedicated audience. People that enjoy this raffle. They like the prizes, they like the opportunities, they like the calls, and they continue to come back year after year. And obviously, when you buy a raffle ticket, everyone knows most likely you're not going to win, but they know that they're giving to a good cause, and the prizes are impressive enough that people keep coming back. So we couldn't do this without participation. I think another key to our success is cost to value. And we either were really smart early on or got lucky, and it doesn't matter at this point. But when you look at the price point of our tickets, very cost effective. We've got, I think it's almost $200,000 worth of prizes in this year's raffle. You can buy a ticket for $20. That's a pretty good cost to value ratio. And I think people recognize that, and it makes it easier to click that button on your phone when you're trying to decide, what do I want to do this $20? Yes, I'm going to buy a raffle ticket. So that certainly helps. And then the last thing, and this is something that we're continuously working on, is just being innovation and effective marketing. We learned some interesting stuff as we do each year. We learned more stuff this year. And what we learned this year, which surprised me, and I'm going to have to stand here and admit that in 2019, I reported to this commission that if we wanted to grow this raffle, we were going to have to reach outside of Tennessee. And I was wrong. We don't. It's great to expand, spread our wings, if you will. But this year, 75% of our revenue was derived from Tennessee. We had less participation from other states this year than we had last year. I don't think it's necessarily because we did anything wrong. I just think that more people in Tennessee tuned in, and that's a good thing. What I believe now, and the data that we've looked at thus far, is that there is room to grow this raffle yet through innovative marketing, reaching more of our base here in Tennessee, tweaking packages and looking at other avenues of outdoor interests, and making sure that we sure enough have something for everyone in this raffle. So I'm pleased to find out that we have room to grow this raffle even within the borders here in Tennessee. I think everyone knows about the packages, but I'm going to touch on them, and then we're going to kind of get down to the nitty gritty for this year. Don't know that there's a particular order for these packages, but the one that's getting a lot of buzz is the Built Ford Tough package. This year we partnered with Mid-South Ford dealers, and they donated a $50,000 voucher to a new Ford vehicle of your choice from any Mid-South Ford dealer, and it's certainly created a lot of buzz. And I think that's going to be a really popular choice, and I'll be surprised if that doesn't go first this year. We also partnered with Bass Pro, and Johnny Morris came through and donated a Tracker Pro Team 175. That boat, motor, and trailer, I think it's got a 60 horse 4-stroke Mercury on it. It comes with graph, trolling motor. It's rigged out, ready for the water, ready to fish. Certainly a really nice boat, and that's something new. We didn't have that last year. Our elk hunting package, that's this. There we go. Elk hunting package, similar to last year. It's the Zone 1 elk tag in the quota hunt, and the raffle participant. All of these tags, this tag and the President's Island tag, I should mention, are additive tags. That's another thing that a wise decision that I think the commission made. We didn't take tags away from public opportunity away from hunters, we added additional tags. So this tag took the place of the tag that we were raffling, and probably the neatest thing about this is the hunter's going to have a week in zone 1 to try to kill a bull. If they're not successful, they've got another week all to themselves they had the whole WMA to themselves. So they basically got 2 weeks to make this happen and to kill a Tennessee elk. And that's certainly an opportunity of a lifetime. I don't even know how you place a value on this package. But it's not just the elk hunt. Weatherby came through with a Weathermark rifle and 270 Weatherby mag. Tetra partnered with us to provide a set of multi-pursuit combo shields. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with Tetra or not. They're a local Tennessee company. In fact, I think they're just down the road in Smyrna, but a really innovative product. Hearing protection has been around for a long time, but Tetra does it different. They can actually program this hearing protection for the high pitch frequencies and the low guttural sounds of deer and elk. So it really gets waterfowl hunters. They can tune their ears to for waterfowl hunters so that you can blow a duck call and things sound like they're supposed to sound. So it's a pretty innovative product, and we're happy to have them as a sponsor this year. Crimson Trace Scope, Danner lacrosse boots with us every year, providing a gift certificate for any pair of Danner boots. And we asked that question, really? Any pair? Any pair. You just take that, find a pair of Danner boots, give them that gift certificate, and you go home with any pair of Danner boots that you'd like. The next package is the UTV package. Again, Bass Pro donated the Tracker OX 400 utility side-by-side. That's sort of the workhorse around the house, around the farm model of UTV. The deer hunting package, this is a President's Island hunt for one hunter. Again, it's 2 opportunities. The person who selects this prize is going to get to hunt in October. And if they're not successful, they'll get to go back and hunt December during the rut hunt in December. This package comes with everything you're going to need to hunt President's Island. You've got a hang-on stand. GSM partnered with us to donate a hang-on stand and climbing sticks. It's got a set of Tetra multi-pursuit amp pods, PSC crossbow, scope, quiver, bolts, everything you need. And again, a pair of lacrosse boots. So you draw this, if you select this package, you're ready to go. All you need to do is be able to get there. The waterfowl hunting package this year is a 2-day duck hunt for 4 people with Final Flight Outfitters in West Tennessee. The guys at Final Flight, Seth and them, they're great. Great people. They've partnered with us at the Governor's One Shot and with this raffle. I know they had a blast last year talking to the gentleman that drew last year's hunt. They had a really good time. No one can control whether or not the ducks are going to come south, but if ducks make it to Tennessee, they're in a good spot. Where they're at in Northwest Tennessee, that's where the ducks are going to be. So whoever draws this hunt's going to get this with for 4 people, a Rattay Masai Mara shotgun, waders, again, Tetra Waterfowl Alpha Shields, and a set of Realtree hunting apparel. Outdoor adventure package. And for those of you that are looking at the screen, there's a whole lot of stuff there. Now, this is donated from Academy Sports. Rick Burleson there in Cool Springs. We've worked with Rick, and just a great guy. Academy's really been a good supporter of the foundation and TWA, especially for free fishing days. But they donated a $5,000 gift card. Now we've got all of that loot that you see in the photo there. That's just stuff that you can buy. The person who selects this package, they can get whatever they would like. But those are all things that you could buy with that $5,000. We have a turkey hunting package. That's the Governor's One Shot turkey hunt. The person who selects this is not only going to the Governor's One Shot next spring on opening weekend, but they're also going to hunt with Preston Pittman. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So it's really a unique opportunity. That package comes with a TriStar turkey shotgun, top of the line. I don't know that they make a better turkey gun than that TriStar. And lacrosse boots, a set of Pittman calls, Pack Rabbit. That's a Pack Rabbit vest and game hauler. Those things are really handy. It comes with a seat, fold down seats when you're caught out in the open and need to sit down quickly. Again, Tetra has some turkey amp pods that they're putting in that package. And the Person who chooses this will also get a set of long leaf camo clothing. All right, long range shooting package. Our friends at Best of the West, Jack Peterson and Daryl, got an amazing product. For those of you that are not familiar with Best of the West rifles, it's a custom shooting system, really. You get the rifle, which this year is a 6.5 PRC. It's topped with a Blue Diamond Husqvarna scope, and it really is as simple as dial and shoot. If you know your yardage, you dial the scope, you figure your wind, and you pull the trigger. It was amazing. I've not done a lot of long range shooting, but my very first time out, we were banging steel plates at 1,200 yards with these weapons. It's phenomenal to practice with, but it's also a very effective hunting rig. And with this, GSM provided the bullseye camera. And if you're going to shoot long range, that right there will save you a lot of time. Instead of having to drive all the way to your target, you're looking at it on camera right there. You can see your hits, call your hits, and know where that bullet's going down range. Tetra provided big game custom shields, and they're programmed for range applications. So it's made to block out the loud noises and concussion of firearms. We have shooting bags and custom match grade ammo with that package. And the last package is our heritage package. And we partnered with Henry this year. They build a beautiful rifle. Everything that Henry does is top notch quality. And they made a custom rifle, especially for this event. This is the Henry Custom Deluxe on especially engraved. And on one side of the receiver, you have the Tennessee TriStar. On the other side of the receiver, you have the Foundation logo. And the serial number is a special run just for this raffle. So this really is a one-of-a-kind gun that someone's going to win. In addition to that, we have a bunch of TWA swag and TWF swag, hats, stickers, water bottles, things like that. So that rounds out our top 10 prize packages. Doing one more thing this year, one additional thing this year. We want to thank our participants. You know, for everyone who bought tickets, not everyone is going to win today. So we wanted to do something to have more winners. So we worked with Smoky Mountain Knife Works up in Sevierville, and we are providing 100 additional prizes in this year's raffle. And I'm not going to announce those names. Don't panic. We won't go name by name, but 100 people, in addition to the 10 that we're going to go over today, 100 additional people are going to receive a pocket knife, smooth bone-handled trapper knife in the mail just for participating. So we appreciate Smoky Mountain Knife Works doing that for us, and we're happy we can provide this to our customers. Again, our industry partners, I want to spend just another moment because I can't emphasize this enough. We want to thank our partners. We could not do this raffle without them. We're talking about Mid-South Ford Dealers, Bass Pro, Smoky Mountain Knife Works, Realtree, Husqvarna Optics, Best of the West, Danner, Lacrosse, TriStar, Weatherby, PSE, Academy Sports and Outdoors, Longleaf Camo, Henry, Crimson Trace, Tetra Hearing, Pittman Game Calls, Rattay, Final Flight Outfitters, GSM, and Pack Rabbit. So these are the real heroes of this year's raffle. Like I said, they were able to find product for us when there was none out there to be had. And with that, I think we will transition to what everyone was anxiously awaiting for. All right, so there's our winners. All right, no, that's where our winners live. Just teasing a little bit, but here's our 10 winners listed on the map. I don't know, I didn't really think about the screens. You may not even be able to see where that's from, but if you're looking at the map, you can see nine of the 10 are from Tennessee this year. And that's where they're located. If y'all are ready, we're gonna do this one at a time. Let me explain a little bit how the raffle works, especially for our folks at home that are waiting to hear their name called. So when you buy a ticket, your order number, your ticket number, your name, address, email, and phone number is all attached to one line in our database. And what we do in the drawing, this all goes into one database, and what we do in the drawing is we take out those order numbers and ticket numbers, pull them out into a separate database where we can't see names or any of the other information, and then we randomly select, this year we randomly selected 110. In the order that they were selected, we will announce their names. Excuse me, I'm going to announce them backwards, but in the order they're selected, they're going to get to choose their package. So the person who was drawn out first, the number that was drawn out first, that person is going to get their choice of the 10 prizes. Last year we did this online. It worked really well using an online form, and within 2 days, everyone had prioritized their prize list, and we had everything worked out. So just wanted to remind everyone in the home how this is going to work. We'll also be sending an email out to everyone who bought tickets with the winners announced. Winners, if you're watching this and you hear your name or see your name, you will probably be getting momentarily. You will get an email and a phone call from us. We're going to follow up via email and phone to make contact with those winners, walk them through this process, let them know what we need from them next, because there's some paperwork to do, and then we've got to coordinate for prize pickup and that sort of thing. For the folks that are going to win the 100 knives, those will show up in the mail. We may list those names and numbers on our website. Not sure. It's just a big list, so we may just mail those out. So you may get a surprise in the mail, and it'll be a pocket knife, a nice pocket knife, and that's from us, and that's our thank you for participating in the raffle. So without further ado, let's do this. Number 10 this year, Mark Hayek, Spring Hill, Tennessee. He was our number 10 winner. Number 9, Don Odell from Corrington, Tennessee. Number 8, Daryl Wardlaw from Smyrna, Tennessee. Number 7, Steve Henderson from Livingston, Tennessee. He's just down the road. Up the road, that's right. 6th, Sheila Watson from Charleston, Tennessee. 5th, Sam Malone from Memphis, Tennessee. 4th winner, Ted Williams from Dixon, Tennessee. 3rd winner, Travis Hale from Soddy Daisy, Tennessee. 2nd place winner, James Jackson from Harrison, Tennessee. Region 3 is representing. And our 1st place winner is Donald McBroom from Mammoth Cave, Kentucky. And that is our 10 winners this year. Again, these winners will get to select their prizes in the order that they're listed on your screen. And as the prizes are selected, the next person in line can choose from the remaining prizes. I'm going to leave this up on the screen. If they're watching the live stream, they may want to see this. But I'll take any questions that commissioners may have at this point.
Any questions? Public? I just want to thank you, Joe, for doing just a great job. I want to go back earlier, look at that chart, just the growth we've had. That's just incredible. And I just want to thank you for doing a great job on this. And the participants made a huge difference in all the, you said 75% of revenue from Tennessee folks. It's just incredible. So
That's right.
thank you for everything. This is so exciting. I just see it growing and growing.
Thank you.
Congratulations to the winners. It's great.
I have a question. What is that, after we leverage the federal money, how much money is that for the program? Somebody.
Sorry, I should have covered that. At minimum, I think that'd probably be $17.5 million. I mean, I think you look at a minimum 4-to-1, depending on the program and the opportunities there, but I think it's probably a minimum 4-to-1.
All right, wait now. Not 17 million.
Sorry, I did the math wrong on that. 4-to-1 on 1.85, so it'd be about 7 million. Sorry, 7.5 million, something like that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll say we're gonna that the bicycle. That was impressive. 17 million. No.
That's really matching.
Like that is awesome. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, really. Elk in West Tennessee. Okay, thank you again, Joey. And I guess concludes the wildlife management program announcement. So we will, oh, it's not. Oh. Let's call Brad Miller up, Elk Program Coordinator. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Unfortunately, I don't have any boats or trucks to give away, but we do have 14 names to call out. You know, we began hunting elk in Tennessee in 2009. The program has expanded since then, and today it's my pleasure to announce the 7 archery hunters, the 6 hunters that can hunt with firearms, muzzleloader, or archery, and our youth elk hunter. I'll read these names and they'll pop up on the map. And if your name is one of these, be prepared for a phone call from me. I'm not going to ask for an extended car warranty, but please take my call. All right, moving on. So again, let's start with archery. The first name is Richard Lee Cox from Madison. Charles Douglas Evans of Greenville. Jeremy Flynn Gideon of Tullahoma. Kevin Lynn Howe of Humboldt. William George Kittredge of Indian Mound. Sam Byron Neely of Crossville. And the last archery hunter is Ronnie Kent Benson of Inglewood. Okay, so that's our archery hunters. And again, I'll be calling each of you this afternoon and explaining how to proceed. So moving on next to the gun, Johnny Lee Collingsworth of Tazewell. Grant Wilson Gwynn of Springville. Matthew White Hubbard of Brentwood. Ryan Payne Richards of Jackson. Stephen Devon Weaver of Clinton. And Brian Keith Wright of Knoxville. So that is our firearm, muzzleloader, or archery hunters. And then last but certainly not least is our youth hunter. And for this season, that is Colton Lee Casson of Ocoee. So congratulations to all these folks. And again, we'll leave this up for a minute so that folks can see these names, and looking forward to working with each of them. Any questions by the commission? All right, well, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Brad. Need to go back, and I'm so excited about the elk drawing. I didn't get a vote for the minutes, so I just want to make sure we approve. We had a second to approve the minutes. All in favor? Motion carried to pass the minutes. And at this point, we're going to move to Budget Committee. We call on Chairman Cox.
Thank you. Deputy Director Richardson.
Thank you, Chairman Cox, members of the commission. Yesterday presented the budget. We can go back through that with slides, or I'm happy to answer any questions the commission has at your will of how you'd like to proceed.
I think unless there are questions from the audience, I think we covered it pretty well yesterday. Is there anyone would like to see this represented? We've got some carry forwards and budget expansions from for the fiscal year 2022. Madam Chairman, the Budget Committee approved those, and I move approval for the commission of the carry forwards and the budget expansion improvements for fiscal year 21-22.
Second.
Okay. Motion carried. Approval of minutes for 22. I'm sorry. Do we have any discussion? Public or the commission?
As a point of clarification, Commissioner Cox, this would include all of the expansions as detailed on page 5 of the budget book.
Well, let's make sure. I think that's right. That's correct.
There were also.
Well, I have 4 and 5.
There were
Carry
also,
forwards.
there were also 3 requested expansions at the very tail end of it, NBCI, quail management, and the prion prevalence study. Would those be
Yes,
included?
I'm sorry. I
in the
forgot
motion.
about those. I'll amend my motion to include those items.
I'll second that.
We have a second amendment. Do we have any discussion? The commission? No discussion? Motion carried?
Got to vote.
Sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now motion's carried.
Madam Chairman, we've
Commissioner
got some fiscal year 23 improvement positions for the 23. We got improvements and improvement positions. That would be page 6, and then the additional separate piece of paper that you have for positions. The Budget Committee recommended approval of these yesterday, and I move approval for the commission for fiscal year 23 improvements and the additional positions for the 23 budget as an amendment.
I'll second that.
Do we have a second? Any further discussion? We have a motion 2023 improvement on the budget. Any further discussion?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
the only thing that I had brought up yesterday, and again, I'm sure that we need all of these positions. I just from a matter of principle, want to make sure that when we have a budget in front of us that we're passing, that it reflects all the requests that are being made. And so we had a budget in front of us and then a list of positions that need to be funded. And then there will be an accompanying list of materials and equipment and that kind of thing that they need. And so I personally would like to see a budget that reflects all of our expenditures, a real budget that shows all of those items.
My intention is to, for the benefit of the agency, is to get these expansions included. And my next motion will be to defer approval of the 23 budget until September so they can, and I know it causes some problem, and I'm sorry about that. I don't intend to do that, but that yours and other wishes to see a complete budget with all of these things in it, that they'll have time to give that to us. If we have to do an informational meeting between now and then to discuss a Zoom meeting, that's fine. But my intention is to make a motion to roll the budget, 23 budget approval till September so they can give us a final number based on your and other requests for the same thing.
How would that, I'll direct this to staff, how would that affect if we rolled over until we could get a comprehensive picture of what the budget's going to look like? How would that impact agencies?
In the words of Ken Tarkington, we can turn our budget into F&A at any time as long as it's before September the 24th. So there is a lot of work that goes into the backside of this to enter it into the correct systems. The Department of Finance and Administration has rolled out a new evidence-based budgeting requirements now that require quite a bit of detailed work and justifications for any improvements or expansions to the 23 budget, which these would all be included in that. I will say that the only reason you don't have a request for equipment items at this point in time is we really don't know whether these positions will ultimately be approved, nor have we, nor do we think that we're in the best position to identify those equipment needs. My position is that we are better able to identify the equipment needs associated with these positions and others that are beyond the general guideline amount there is certainly equipment in this budget. There are items in this budget that are all funded within the divisional guidelines. Traditionally, we come with expansions to the current year budget as outlined by the 13 million or so that are in this request. My point to you would be when we get to a March or April timeframe of next year, prior to this 23 budget kicking into effect, that will be the point in time when we're in the best position to identify those equipment and resource needs, both for these new positions that we're requesting and also for other things beyond the guideline that we've identified, much in the same way that we requested some equipment expansions from you all this past May. But certainly understand that concern, and we certainly can pull together some estimated equipment costs and resource costs that would be associated with these positions and have made ready for you in September. I'm hearing a clear indication or willingness from the commission to accept these positions, which would allow us to get started on it. However, the more things that you can give us concrete approval on today, the better we're going to be at getting the budget prepared for F&A by that September 24th deadline.
Mr. Chairman. What if we approve every one of these positions from a budget standpoint? And as close estimate as you can to outfitting and supplying all of the different things that go with these positions. From a dollar standpoint, could you, off the top of your head, based on previous work, give us an idea of what would be included here?
I mean, I can give you an off the top of my head estimate. I mean, if you simply just look at the wildlife officer positions, generally, when I talk to Darren and I say, what's it cost for a wildlife officer? It's $100,000 a year. So in addition to that $60,000 or so in salaries and benefits, generally takes about $40,000 to outfit a wildlife officer. I would say that that's a similar expense when you're talking in terms of a wildlife manager. When you get into text, the cost certainly would be less than that. So if you looked at it from that standpoint, that would be the more expensive positions. If you estimated them there, it's certainly not going to be any more than about $100,000 per position.
So that multiplied by the number of positions that we have on this page would be approximately how much?
If you did 23 times approximately 40,000.
So then we're talking approximately 2.1 million.
As I stand here today, that would be my best wag.
So if our efforts are
And can I guess Ken is dying to say something, and it'll be pearls of wisdom if we can go to Ken real quick.
I'm not so sure about that. Commissioner, and I understand the apprehension of not knowing the exact amount. If I may offer a suggestion, page 6, I believe it's page 6, has the improvements that have already been discussed. We discussed them, I think, in July and then yesterday. If you were to approve those, that would give us the amount to go forth and present our budget for 23 by F&A's timeline. That would also give us in September, in October, in November, whenever you're comfortable, or perhaps we're comfortable with assigning the exact or what we feel are the dollars that would go with those positions. So you could see a total package of that, which I think is what you're probably asking for. And we can submit that later during the year, because these are for the oncoming year, the fiscal year 23. That way you would have the total amount, and we would have more certainty of the positions we need, the titles. I think we already do, but at least identify the supplies, equipment, and ancillary costs to those positions. Just a suggestion.
So Ken, real quick, so you're suggesting that we approve the budget as presented?
Yes, sir.
With the 23 improvements on page 6, plus the 24 positions, and then add back the equipment costs per those positions later in the year when you've got more clarity?
You could do
Because you
that.
left out the positions, you only said the budget plus with the 23 improvements.
Well, you can do just page 6, and if I know you're concerned, I think you're concerned, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. You're not certain that these are the number of positions that the agency needs. It would give us time to identify the cost of the ones we've already presented, come back to you even later in the year, and get all of you comfortable with that whole package, and then submit it as an amendment during the year.
No, I think the concern is we're going to be asked to add these improvements and positions and pass a budget. And then you're going to come back in 2 months and tell us what we passed.
No,
That's the concern.
no, I'm not saying that. All right,
You're going to come back and give us real numbers later on.
Correct.
That's what I'm talking
Pass the
about.
positions today if you don't feel comfortable.
No, I think
Do
the
that
intention
later.
is to pass it, but I think the commission is concerned that we don't know what that looks like. And we're being asked to pass a budget that we don't know what the bottom line is. We don't know exactly what the figures are. And I think that's
Okay.
Commissioner Jones and some others' concern. I'm not going to speak for them, but I think that's what they have discussed with me. So,
Well, the commission usually throughout the year will pass amendments,
yes.
budget amendments for either the current year or the next year. And that was all I was suggesting is wait till you all feel comfortable with that particular expansion, not the one that's on page 6, or approve the one that's on page 6, but the positions and all the equipment and so forth. When you feel comfortable, then approve that and do it as an amendment during the year.
Thank you, Ken.
Just a suggestion.
Chris, on just the estimate, I know it's a spitball number of 40,000 per officer, but some of that's non-recurring. It might be 40,000 that first year, but a lot of that equipment's durable and
That's certainly true. I'm
go
factoring
down.
in recurring vehicle costs as far as fuel. And there is some equipment that does have to be updated on an annual basis. There's training costs, there's things like of that nature. I could ask Darren to speak to that, I guess, in more depth, but at the end of the day, I certainly don't want to ask this commission to pass something that they're not comfortable with. And if the detailed equipment list associated with those positions is needed, we can certainly provide that. I would say that to me, it is very important to get these positions in before we turn in the budget to Finance and Administration, in the sense that once Finance and Administration receives our budget document, that is what they will build the document that they submit to the legislature from. If these positions are included in that document, the General Assembly will consider those expansion of positions when the legislature comes into session next January. If we wait till some period after our initial submission, it is very unlikely that those positions will be part of the governor's overall budgets that's submitted for approval to the General Assembly. And we'll be in a position where we'll be having to ask for a standalone amendment to the budget during the legislative process, which is a much more difficult position to be in.
okay, it makes sense. I'd personally be very comfortable with the 23 improvements, including the improvement positions now that we have the estimate. And then in the future, that should go along with those positions. We have what is the true cost instead of, I'd personally be fine with all that.
I think that's certainly something that we can build generically with not a whole lot of time to say, this is the general outfitting cost of a wildlife technician. This is the general outfitting cost of a wildlife officer. And I apologize, we don't have that information before you today. Certainly something we can get quickly.
I concur. I don't want to do anything that hinders the agency's ability to execute our mission. I'm of a budgeting mindset that when you make a budget, you have a budget and you live to a budget, and the less amending you can do throughout the budget year, the better off you are. The closer you're living to that budget on an annual basis, the better off we'll be.
Certainly agree, sir.
And if we budget for that and you come in under budget, then you've done a good job. So that's kind of the way I see it. You know, if we are confident in previous history as to how that happens and how we outfit our staff and move forward, then I'm comfortable with that.
Chris, would it be appropriate if you presented the budget with the 23 improvements, with the 23 improvement positions, and then an additive of $1 million budget for, which is roughly the 23 times 40 for these, to equip these positions. So to Commissioner Jones's point, then you have a budget to work to. Is that, Mr. Cox, is that?
You know, I'm fine, it's pleasure of the committee or the commission. I'm reacting with my intentions to conversations with commissioners that told me they were uncomfortable with this. Now, if everybody's getting comfortable with it, then I'm fine. But we still, to others' concerns, and I'll let them speak for themselves, we still don't know the number. Now, if we want to do a little quick math and we want to take a break and let them come back and tell us what that is in 15 minutes, then I'm fine with that. If that would make Commissioner Jones and some others more comfortable with it, then I'm fine. And that certainly shouldn't be hard to do.
I think that's a good idea.
Madam Chairman, could we table this motion right now and take a break and
Yes, sir.
discuss this, please?
Yes, sir. Take a break. We'll be back at 10:15. Thank you, sir.
Are you back to me,
Welcome back.
Madam Chairman?
Yeah, we're back to full commission. I'm going to
Okay,
hand it to the budget chairman, Bill Cox.
Chris, if you got
Thank you.
something for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the brief break there. We've huddled with our staff and our leadership from each of the divisions that has positions on the requested FY23 improvement positions. And you should have a sheet in front of you now that provides a ballpark estimate of the year one costs to outfit those individuals. I'm going to use the wildlife officers to provide a little bit more detail. In the $100,000 number that you see to outfit them in year one, let's use one of the OHV officers. That's going to include an ATV. It's going to include a truck. It's going to include the fuel costs associated with that truck. It is going to include training and the supplies necessary: rifle, pistol, body armor, shotgun, uniforms, radios, and additional items that they need. That generally totals about $96,888 that we have rounded up to $100,000 in equipment costs and outfitting costs associated with those officers. The cost is obviously less on other positions. If you look at the fisheries positions, they're basically the hatchery technicians. There's no additional cost besides the uniform allotment that gets them outfitted to go. There's no truck, vehicles, or other equipment associated with those. On the wildlife positions, there is a truck included along with those other supplies that we generally would outfit. Private lands biologists, for example, we forecasted in there a ATV and trailer for equipment needs. So this, I think, provides us a very good start to get these folks outfitted and equipped in year one. If you take, for example, the wildlife officers, if we looked at what the recurring costs would be beyond year one, which certainly we're not talking about the 24 budget here, but a wildlife officer, for example, we forecast $10,000 in fuel expenses, $2,000 in training, $700 in uniform allotment, and $2,000 in supplies, for a total of about $15,000 a year in years 2, 3, and going forward. With that explanation, Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, everybody's got 23 improvement positions. It's got the total for the improvements and out to the side, the equipment for those positions. Is the total?
And I want to be
Is that a
clear,
total?
we have we've labeled that equipment, but that's certainly not all equipment in the sense of the word, that's not all trucks and vehicles. There are uniforms and training and other computer related items, other things of that nature that are factored into those budgets.
This is cost with benefits, so these two. Okay. All right, so our total for cost with benefits is $1,282,464. Equipment's $1,250,000 for a total of $253,264. That goes to the costs on fiscal 22-23, makes it $112,800 approximately. Is that correct? I think that's correct. Are there any questions or more explanation needed by anybody? Not hearing any. Madam Chairman, I withdraw my motion to amend for the improvements that I made earlier. And whoever seconded it would have to withdraw, I suppose.
Second that.
All right, Madam Chairman, the Budget Committee yesterday recommended approval of the 23 budget, and I move approval of the fiscal year 22-23 budget that we have now adjusted.
Okay, the motion. Motion by Chairman Cox, second by Jimmy Granberry.
Just a point of clarification, Mr. Cox, Chairman Cox, that amendment would also include the 23 improvements plus the positions plus the equipment.
Yes,
Work those.
the new totals that they have given us is included in the budget in your book. we need to go back and add those and get a page, we can, but I think everybody's got a pretty good idea about what we're doing now.
They shall have a motion on the floor and a second, a full approval of 22-23 budget. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Oh,
So I appreciate everything you've done in the last 15, 20 minutes. I think that gives us a more accurate portrayal of the budget that we're voting on for that year. For months now, everybody knows I've kind of been tuned in to quail habitat and early successional habitat and the impact that has on other species. And, the diversification of our wildlife habitat across all the properties that we're responsible for. And I know we were going to have a discussion about, maybe how to proceed. And that changed yesterday, obviously, when I saw the budget improvements for the National Bobwhite Quail Initiative and that kind of thing. But I feel like that there needs to do more. And since I've stuck my neck out and said that we need to mention all all these improvements in our current budget, I'm going to stick my neck out and ask for an amendment to the budget. Do I do that now during the discussion?
Really?
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Yeah, I really am. I'm going to ask to amend the budget under fiscal year 23 improvements, just as a placeholder for habitat creation and management of $500,000. So that's my amendment. If I get a second,
Second.
I'll be glad to talk on it. And I apologize for popping this out. This thing has kind of evolved over the discussion of the budget the last couple of days.
I have a comment, Madam Chairman, and I appreciate your effort and your conversation. And I'm not necessarily opposed to, I'm not opposed to quail at all, but I still think, as I think I said yesterday, that I don't know how we throw money at something that they haven't requested and are still studying and don't know exactly what they need. And I would submit that I made this same effort when we were talking about Asian carp, and we talked about it ad nauseum, and we did never spend any money on it. And I made a motion, this has been several years ago, to increase the budget $100,000 or $200,000 to help pay these fishermen. And the advice was, let's let the staff go back and tell us what they really need. Well, when it came back, it was more like $500,000 or $600,000, which is not surprising. So I would submit to you that we, or my opinion, that we let it be known to the staff that we really want to get going on this. And as soon as they can get some results from the studies and from what that they would come back and tell us what they want to do and ask for the money. And instead of us trying to guess what they need and just give them it may not be enough and it may be 5 times too much, but we've got them some money in the budget that's coming up. And as usual, we can make a budget expansion if you want to, but that's just my opinion. I think we'd be better off letting them tell us based on the science that we need to do this and that, and this is how much it's going to cost.
Madam Chairman?
Okay, an amendment and a second on the floor.
Yeah, I seconded it, but I have a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Buck.
Would it be out of order if we call Wally Aiken to the mic, please, and address the possibility of that expansion or that amendment to the budget as what we could do with that in 23?
Certainly. And I really don't feel comfortable today because we haven't discussed this with the directors or with Joe. What our intention is to evaluate our WMAs, talk with our staff, identify the needs that we think we're going to be a shortfall, and then develop a budget for that. Um, I certainly think we can spend a lot of money on quail management and then other habitat projects we may have for, that would benefit, deer and turkey and waterfowl even, but for water control structures and whatnot. So I'm just not prepared today to say that, what number that might be.
Are we
at present.
limited in the amount of burns and the application that we're talking about as far as the aerial herbicide application and things like that, that with this money we could do, but we don't know about?
One way to answer that is we can certainly increase our capacity to burn, prescribed burn on our WMAs, but we have to do that with additional resources other than our own, which means we need money to pay a vendor. Now, one limiting thing in Tennessee, the only vendor service that can provide a prescribed burning on state lands or even private lands is Tennessee Division of Forestry. There's two other vendors that only have one or two. They're forest consultants that they've been through the training. They got the liability insurance to help us, but they only have one or two employees. So if you go to the Deep South, there's numerous consulting companies that can assist you in prescribed burning, not in Tennessee. So that's something too that we are, trying to work with, or hoping other vendors become available in the future. But I mean, we can work to throw some numbers together, but I'm just not prepared at this time.
So
So if we budget that amount, then that's what you can spend.
I'm sorry.
And I said, if we budget that amount for that purpose, then that's how much you have to spend.
But, and I'm not for sure 500,000 would be enough. That's what
That's
I'm
not the
saying, though.
point.
If
I
we
mean,
had-
if that's what's budgeted, then that's what you got to spend. And, if we going back to the same situation, Ken, that you brought up, that we can amend that down the road?
So if I can clarify, I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot at all, Wally. I'll be honest with you. I walked in here thinking, okay, it's budget time. It's time for the rubber to meet the road. We can study stuff all we want. I've been on all those quail habitat areas. I've looked at it. I've studied them. I've read the white papers, and I walked in here yesterday ready to put a motion on the floor to commit $5 million over 5 years with a goal of doubling the habitat that we're managing for quail and other species that need that early succession habitat. But as I've sat here and watched the budget unfold, and I see that you're putting efforts into wild quail restoration efforts, I've changed that number in my head, and I just want a placeholder in the budget. Because this commission has indicated that they want to go the extra mile and be a little more aggressive with their handling of that species and the other species that depend on that kind of habitat. And, I've brought up, well, we got to put this in we're going to adopt those positions. We need to put it in the budget so we have an accurate portrayal of the budget that we're working from. So that's why I bring it up now. I'm not trying to micromanage or add any details to it. That's just a number that I've come up with in my head that I think could act as a placeholder and allow staff and commission to do more than what we're doing moving forward. So I'm adding that clarification. I appreciate the second, Stan, and I look forward to seeing if anybody else has any questions or comments.
Right.
Yeah, just one comment. Looks like maybe just a suggestion that we think about passing the budget as originally put forth in a motion. And then we ask, obviously, Commissioner Jones, I appreciate you bringing this up because I think we all have an appetite for quail restoration and quail management. I don't think we've done enough. And I think that all of us want to be more aggressive in that area. So looks like going forward, we would ask Wally and his team to come back to us with a management plan, knowing that appetite, and then we expand that budget at that time with the plan in mind.
One point that I would make along those lines, and certainly appreciate the budget being a statement of policy in as many ways as it is a guiding document for finances. And I certainly agree that a $500,000 amendment to focus on early successional habitat is a statement of policy from this commission, that's what they want us to focus on. But the one caveat I would make is when we identify the specific locations that we're going to be doing this work, it can change which pot of money we're pulling from. And so as I go into the budget with a $500,000 number for spraying or for habitat manipulation, without knowing where that work is going to occur, I'm going to put it in as a 75-25 with 25% licensed dollars, and hopefully there's enough federal money, because it certainly would be a federal aid eligible project. If we are doing work on our own land, we can spend money from the Wetlands Acquisition Fund as a maintenance or enhancement to property owned by the state that's under the jurisdiction of the agency. So as we identify where the work is being done, it can in fact change how that project would be funded.
So, yeah.
Certainly,
so
I have no.
I should ask for 2 million.
Certainly, I have no concern or issue with putting a placeholder in this budget to allow us to put a placeholder in this budget now to allow us to continue those discussions and challenge staff to bring a more detailed proposal for how to spend it.
And again, you know, when you look at other state budgets, so ECD, which I've had, you know, a lot of experience dealing with, they don't know when they're developing incentive packages for industries coming in, they don't know what exactly those industries look like because they've not come in yet. But they say, okay, we're going to set 40 million aside as part of our budget to use as incentives to bring new industry in. So I'm kind of approaching it like that. We want to do something with habitat. Let's put it in there. And again, I'll ask for 2 million if you think we can turn 500,000 into 2 million. I'm just trying to be more realistic, but that's the only way that I'm looking at it. We're passing a budget now. If you adopt the amendment, then you know, absolutely, the agency has the ability, the flexibility to put that where it needs to go, whether it's controlled burns or whether it's seeding or whether, you know, additional staff that need to be out there working. But I'm just, I know that we've talked and now we're studying a lot. And I like to see boots on the ground and see things happening. And so that's the reason for my amendment. Sure, it got quiet.
Madam Chairman, Director Wilson and Deputy Director Maxidon, what are y'all's thoughts on this? I know Wally spoke, but just get your thoughts if you would, please.
Well, I was just texting Joe why we're excited about this. I mean, don't forget, we've got a lot of other programs that we're doing in the Wildlife Division. And so this is an exciting thing. But even if you give us $5 million, we've got to have the amount of time and staff to do that along with all of our other programs. So I would love to be able to put you together something and bring to Wildlife Committee in September of what we're currently doing, give you a better idea of what we're doing, and then be able to tell you what we think our best needs are and come up with some funding that we can come back to you all with to say, hey, here's really what we need. Because if you dump $5 million on us, which will be a great thing because we all want more quail work, we've got all these other programs and we'll be taken away from something to be able to take the staff to put on doing that. Now, if we can contract a lot of that out, that's great money. If we could contract more herbicide work, but even once we get that into early successional habitat, we have to maintain it in that state for moving forward. And that will take a lot of personnel and a lot of money moving forward.
So Jason, to that point, you could, and to Steve's point about boots on the ground sooner than later, if you did that before the September meeting, you could actually do that as a 22 budget expansion, that those dollars, if you identified how you could spend it, and it wouldn't have to wait till 23. Is that a fair assessment?
That's correct.
Yeah, I would remind you that you have just recently approved north of $300,000 worth of habitat manipulation money for 22 and 23 as part of this. And certainly this is a weird dynamic to stand here as the agency somewhat seeming to resist the commission giving us more resources to do more work. And I don't want it to come across that way at all. And I certainly think that it is appropriate, if you want to put a placeholder in the budget at this time for us to start to develop what we would do with it, we can do that.
And let me say this, I sense some frustration that we haven't gotten you this yet, but remember, we're only like 3 or 4 months into this when you started requesting that we come with more information on quail. So it's taking us some time. We're excited, so don't think I don't mean that, but we've got to take some time to really prepare to get you exactly what we have on the ground now statewide, because we don't have a great idea of that. We're still working on our quail plan, just now finalizing that. So once we get all that together, I think it would be better if we brought that back to you then to say, here's what we have, here's what we think we need to do, and then here's what it would take to get it done.
You've started that because you gave the Wildlife Committee a sort of a summary of that a couple of weeks ago.
We have, like I say. Remember, we're only a few months into
No,
your request,
I get it.
really, so it's
But
kind of new.
to Commissioner Jones's point, if you do that, we might get more money in this year and get it now instead of waiting till 23. And then we can always, if it's not enough, we can always expand, do a budget expansion for 23 to mirror what you're doing in 22 based on what you're going to bring to wildlife in September.
Sure.
So if you'll recall in April when we were having an expanded discussion about quail and being more aggressive with habitat management, I had asked that we have something prepared by the August meeting, and we don't. And so I'm just putting in a placeholder in there for, until we do get a plan. And that number is not, I mean, I'm not basing that number on anything. It's just a number that I've modified that just based on my own observations, and that in addition to what has already been included in the budget, just modified that number kind of on the fly right now. And I apologize if I'm hitting anybody, kind of hitting you sideways or putting you on the spot. You know how I feel about quail, and I'm always saying that one of these days we got to talk about it. And I don't know, the urge just hit me just now while we were in the middle of the budget. I didn't help. What'd you say, Bill?
What'd you have for breakfast?
I had a Ralph's donut. We're in Cookville. What else are you supposed to eat?
Well, Commissioner Jones, relative to your proposed amendment, I would just urge you and Commissioner Butts to withdraw that amendment. Let's pass the 23 budget, and then Jason knows what his challenge is for wildlife. And I would hope that we get those $500,000 in a budget expansion and have it happen now, not wait till 23. That's over a year away before that budget even starts. So that's my recommendation or request.
You see what it's like being quiet, don't you? Well, again, I mean, I've kind of made a stink out of making sure that we pass a budget that's got numbers in it that are real. And so I'm a little reluctant to pull a number out knowing that we're probably going to be back here doing an expansion or an amendment of the budget 5 or 6 months from now.
Okay, so we have a motion.
You've got a motion and a
second.
second. There's been discussion.
Been discussion. All in favor of voting to, on the motion, the 500,000
On the amendment.
on the amendment?
Go.
Hereby calling aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion carried.
Budget as amended.
Okay, so now we have to vote on 2023 budget as amended. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion?
So Chris, just for the record, can you just give us what the 23 budget plus the improvements plus the 24 staff positions and the improvement plus the 500,000?
Yes, sir. To recap what the motion, as I understand it, you have your budget book, which includes a prepared budget for 23
including the 23 improvements outlined on page 6. We're also factoring in this sheet of improved positions along with a budgeted number for outfitting those positions. There's also the Quail MBCI expansion and the Quail management expansion for Dr. Harper that would be included in this as presented yesterday. The amount of $126,500 for MBCI and $153,000 for the Quail manipulation. That would be inclusive in this motion to approve the 23 budget as it stands. There's also a $500,000 placeholder as amended today that would be budgeted towards habitat manipulation for early successional habitat. That would be represented as inclusive in your motion for approval for this fiscal 23 budget.
Wasn't there one other item on that 3-point list?
There was one other item on the 3-point list, but it was an expansion for 22 only in the amount of $234,500.
Yeah.
For pre-on research.
Okay, just review, we have a voting on the amendment of passing the 22-23 budget as amended of early succession habitat for quail, $500,000 as a placeholder. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Motion passed.
Thank you all for all your hard work. Great job.
Okay, any discussion, questions, comments? Commissioner McLaren?
Madam Chairman, the audit committee met yesterday and we had a motion on the table. While we were in meeting, we had missed a call. We'd like the director to explain what the call was about and notify us of the new information.
Okay, sure.
Thank you, Commissioner
Director Wilson?
McLaren. So yesterday, coincidentally, during the commission meeting, I received a call. Of course, I didn't take it because the meeting was going on, and I returned the call yesterday and discussed it this morning. There was my name. With the Director of State Audit, Bob, who said that they want to do a review of our electronic draw system, basically the duck blind system. And I said, heck yeah, come on. We have nothing to hide, so come on. And also in the discussion, they said that they would like to conduct a financial audit sometime after December, probably in the spring of 2022. So that's what the phone call was about yesterday.
So they've already got planned to do what we were asking at this point.
Correct.
Thank you. So with that in mind from the audit committee, do we need to revisit our motion?
So we are tabling, are we withdrawing, are we voting? However y'all want to.
You've got a motion that has to be brought before the full commission, but we can take any action on it, correct?
Would,
Right, there's no motion.
would Deputy Director Richardson mind addressing the options, please? And preference of the staff?
I'm certainly going to defer to attorney if I say something wrong. But I think the posture that you're in now is you had an audit committee yesterday. That audit committee made a recommendation that is currently not before the full commission. And so at this point, if you take no action, I think nothing happens. If that gets presented to the full commission, then you would deal with it in that form. I think clearly the intention of the commission was for us to, from the audit committee, was for us to engage the comptroller's office to discuss the prospects of a financial audit for the agency. And that has been accomplished. As we stand here today, that had not been accomplished yesterday. So we have already engaged in those discussions with the Director of State Audit, and thus I think in many ways have already accomplished the motion from the audit committee yesterday.
I'm comfortable with not bringing a motion to the full commission.
Madam Chair, could I ask a question?
Sure. Commissioner Day?
So
What is the process right now? Do we have a regular process of auditing TWRA, the agency?
We have an internal auditor, a position. That position is currently unfilled. As I think y'all are aware, we're in the midst of reclassing that position to attract a new candidate in at the recommendations of the internal auditor, executive internal auditor. We're going from an auditor 3 to a director of audit 2 is the requested reclass. That auditor comes with a signed audit plan that is approved by the executive internal auditor and is conducted throughout the year internally. In addition to that, we are not necessarily scheduled for, but we routinely receive audits from other entities, including the state comptroller. Generally, we would have one every 4 years associated with our sunset review in the form of a performance audit. And then the financial audit, a full-blown financial audit from the comptroller is a little more sporadic and a little less predictable as to when it occurs. But we are included on some levels as the comptroller does his statewide audit of all divisions, agencies, and board. We're included in that annually. So that is, as my understanding, basically where we are as far as the different audits. We also receive audits periodically from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service on our Pittman-Robertson, our Whisper funds. And we also receive audits from the Department of General Services on our procurement procedures, which we just completed recently. So it is less than predictable when we will be audited by some of those entities. But just pointing out that we do routinely and regularly deal with a lot of auditors.
So I'm on the audit committee. Is it appropriate for me to make a motion to table the request that the audit committee motioned yesterday, passed yesterday? Does this come from the chairman? Okay.
The motion can come from anyone who voted
On the audit committee. Okay.
Can
I'll
I
make a motion.
make a statement before you do that?
Yeah. Well, I think we get a second, then you can.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Jones.
I would make a motion that we table the recommendation of the audit committee yesterday based on the information that we got today.
Do I hear a second?
I guess it'd be an audit.
Who seconded that?
Second by Commissioner Wright.
Okay, thank you. So motion has been made and seconded to table the motion from yesterday. Do we have a discussion?
Yes, sir. And this is really not about the motion, but it's about the internal audit from 17 and deficiencies that were pointed out. And if we go back and read those audits, there was recommendations from those audits. And I just, as a matter of transparency, would like to know if provisions have been put in place to address those deficiencies and if all of those have been addressed as we move forward.
My recollection, my assumption is that we're referring to the performance audit that was performed by the comptroller in 2017.
Yeah.
Certainly haven't reviewed that document recently, but as required by the comptroller, we did submit our plans for rectifying any of those audit findings, and to my knowledge, have employed those plans since that time. I certainly can review that and bring more specificity into what those findings were and what has been done to ensure that those problems were corrected moving forward. But I am not prepared to do that in this moment.
Well, I'd like to acknowledge the fact that the agency has done that, and from the benefit of the agency, then we take it very seriously that we address those recommendations as we move forward.
Absolutely.
So that's a feather in the cap of the agency that we've addressed those, and that from a transparency standpoint, we're doing everything to show that this agency is transparent and operating for the benefit of our license holders and those who make this agency possible.
Any more discussion?
I'd like to just maybe ask one question. When you have a discussion with the comptroller, I have been through a few audits as part of the work that I do. And the biggest part of those for me has been a independence review, where they actually find out, like the commission, the governing board, just to ensure that there's no conflict of interest with operations within the agency. I think that's important to show the people that we report to, both on the legislative side and our constituents at Hunt and Fish, that we are being looked at, and to make sure that there's no conflict of interest, just to make them more comfortable with the people that are sitting up here. So if you would ask just on my behalf, to satisfy my curiosity, I guess, if they'll actually perform an independence review as part of their audit.
I'll ask them for that.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
I'd just like to thank Steve for bringing that up. It just would be nice for, I think, all of us. And we're here as citizens just trying to improve the resources, improve stakeholders' opportunities to enjoy those. And it would be nice for me personally to be able to say, look, we're part of not only a financial audit, but an independence review to make sure that none of us as commissioners have any conflict of interest looking back or going forward. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright. Any further discussion? We need a vote on the motion to table the motion from yesterday about the transitional audit. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Madam Chairman, that concludes the Business Audit Committee.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other discussion, or
Real quick.
are we finished? We have another
Yeah,
comment? Yeah, go ahead.
I just
Go
want to let the full commission know that after the conversation yesterday on Bridgestone and the harvesting and the clear cutting, that Jason and Wally and Joe are going to get together a white paper, and we're going to try to schedule a town hall meeting of some sort in the area for the benefit of those people, and make sure that the facts are clearly presented and there's no misinterpretation of exactly how many acres we're clear cutting, and it's not a D6 and taking out all 20,000 acres, and get a percentage and get a really accurate set of facts, because we all know how damaging it can be to have misinformation spewed on the internet, and have a state representative come here and discuss those issues. And so we're really looking forward to Jason, and also the Wildlife Committee, as we talked about earlier. Steve, thanks you for your budget expansion. I don't know anybody that's going to turn down any kind of money. I mean, whatever. I was hoping Jennifer would get a cut of the raffle. You were a big part of it. But anyway, and also to that point, as we talked about, Jason and his team will September, October, we'll have a detailed plan on the quail moving forward, and maybe there's some things that we can do today, this year, as moving forward in that list, because I think we all want the best for quail and duck and turkey and deer. So thank you, Jason, for your hard work of your team once again, and we don't want to take any more time away, because I think you got to go to West Tennessee tomorrow to help drag those duck blinds in the woods like we saw on the video yesterday. I think Bobby ought to go help you too. Thank you, Jason, and your team. And I know it's a lot of work, and I know the Wildlife Committee has thrown a lot at you, and we really appreciate all your hard work. And don't forget, we're doing CWD, we're doing turkey and deer, and we got all that going on all the while we're trying to go back to quail. And I think we said yesterday, if we can do for quail what we've done for elk and what we saw yesterday from that presentation, we would all be very proud to look at that down the road and say we were a part of that. So thanks.
Madam Chairman, if I may, thank you, Commissioner Granberry, for that. I would like to maybe suggest, I'm going to try to strap on a pair of waders and get out there and help with the duck blinds. And if any of the commissioners would like to join and help too, we'd like that. Especially you, Commissioner Granberry.
Fair enough.
Commissioner Granberry, what time are you going to be there tomorrow?
I'll be there. You just tell me when to be there, Bobby.
All right.
I'll pick you up. What time you be up in the morning? I'll pick
Yeah.
you up. We'll just head straight on down to West Tennessee. Jason's got a place for us to stay. Kevin will cook for us.
One other thing I'd like to
Motion.
acknowledge how much we appreciate Region 3 for the snacks and everything they provide, being the host. Debbie Hood was here. She's not here now, but she helped out a whole lot from Region 3, as well as, of course,
Danette and Betsy and Mary. So appreciate all they do.
Commissioner Granberry, thank you for those comments. I'd like to make this statement that by definition, we're not clear cutting that area. We're forestry managing and habitat managing that. And so I think that needs to be a part of the town hall that we're going to
My
have.
point, Commissioner Butt, was that we don't want them to think we are clear cutting. I tried to make that point yesterday very clear. There's a distinct difference between forestry management and clear cutting.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Madam Chairman,
I'd also
would
like to thank
appreciate-
Madam Chairman for the good job that she's done. Appreciate that for stepping up.
I'd like to thank the left end of the table for replacing me as the longest-winded commissioner.
You're welcome.
They're trying to do their job. Commissioner Cox?
We appreciate that acknowledgement, Commissioner Cox.
That's so funny.
This meeting over with quick.
We'll see that doesn't happen in the future.
Are y'all going to post that town hall just for people watching? Y'all have, you post on social media, let them know dates? I
We're
know
going to
that's
work
coming up.
with Representative Cheryl and Senator Bailey to organize that.
get the
Certainly want
information out
them
to
to be a
them.
part of it and may let them take the lead with organizing it, and we'll be in attendance.
Okay, wonderful. Thank y'all so much. Anything else? Get pictures for Kent on those duck blinds tomorrow.
Madam Chairman, motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I hadn't talked all day. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Motion to adjourn? Second. Thank you.
Aye.